Welcome back to Black Girl Couch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We're back to discuss episode 6 in season 3 of Upload, Memory Crackers, written by Owen Daniels, directed by Alberto Belli. Unfortunately, this is just another dud for me. I think they had a lot of constraints filming this season because it was during the pandemic. It hadn't officially ended. And while sure, that's not an excuse because The Fall of the House of Usher was also filmed during the pandemic. That show was amazing and probably benefited from its more curtailed storytelling. So there's ways to make it work. And that's just being generous with what I personally think is behind the rather lackluster season that we're getting. We really don't even have a premise yet. Maybe something in this episode, but this is episode 6 out of 8. If you were going to have this review, it should have been an episode 4. And we really haven't filled in a lot of things. You know what it is? It feels as if we're stalling the plot until we can get to extending the plot. So, unfortunately, the season is just, it's like a calm hum. But most of the jokes are not even working. Which is also equally disappointing. Before we jump into the review, which probably won't be too long, wherever you listen to this podcast, Podbean, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever good podcasts are found, go down to the rating section, drop some stars, leave a review. My social media will be there as well. Like, share, subscribe. If you want to send feedback, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. Maybe you have a different opinion than I, or you can leave that comment below. So I'm just going to break it down by character as always. Alicia, which usually has the highlight of the episode, kind of had a realization that the woman that she's dating isn't the woman she thinks she is. She knows that she's utilizing her and that they are, the company, spying on their employees because Nora isn't dead. She's been taken by her people and brought into fake Lakeview, which is a place they use quite often to make people think that they're dead so that they can drug them and question them for information.
This is not okay.
Karina seems to be working with Mansoor, who was behind Nathan's murder. But back to Alicia. She ends up somehow coaching Nora through her drug-addled mind to not give up any information of why she was at Dr. Kapoor's house, even though they are aware, Karina, that this employee has been snooping where she isn't supposed to be. She could be a Lud. Does she happen to know the one guy that they mentioned? And then, I don't know why they thought Alicia would play ball, even though she's been playing ball, but Karina, I suppose, doesn't know the closeness of their friendship. She comes in, drops the act, and just asks her the question she needs to know. I will say, how the person behind the screen didn't see Alicia, because they made a point of showing there was a third person there, because they were like, oh, if y'all two are a thing, you need to go to HR. Why wouldn't that be a red flag? Like, hey, I can clearly see you coaching her to lie. And then you have Karina calling Mansoor to say she doesn't know anything. It was just a coincidence because I went there to use the bathroom.
Are you fucking serious?
That didn't really hold up. And then there was no continuation of that conversation at all between Alicia and Nora. It's like they don't even know each other, even though Alicia's continuing to be her BFF. She didn't say, okay, what happened, girl? What are you involved in? So on and so forth. No, her first response after receiving a bouquet of flowers from Karina, tossing the note, and then going back to look at the flowers is to go to, look, that's how messed up I am, Luke, which I would usually be happy with because there was one 5-minute minuscule development between these two that she feels friends enough to go to him and say, I need your opinion about a dilemma I am in. But then seeing he's in some type of abdominal distress due to his anxiety around the Nathans, she gets distracted by helping him. And they have a discussion about his beef intake, saying if you don't eat vegetables, then I have to limit your beef. I'm allowed to eat beef the way I want to eat beef. And then he talks about his mother who, oh wait, where does she work? Oh, she was a correctional facility officer. And something else, but it checks. And they had that little moment and that was it. That's all we got of Alicia. She's being kept out of the loop, but I feel as if it's purposely so that they can utilize her elsewhere. But the plot is suffering because it doesn't make sense that she wouldn't be calling Nora or Nathan or Luke and talking about the shady shit going on at Lakeview, even if she is talking about her squeeze and not just the shady shit going on at Lakeview. Let's get back to Luke, who spends the episode pretty much being the couch for the two Nathans to discuss their love of Nora. And he even said, hold on, I wasn't even told there was another Nathan. How about Nora's overrated and maybe I get to spend some time with my best friend because I would like to spend some time with my best friend. And they're like, duly noted. And he turns around and calls Nora.
Why you being a dickhead for? Stop being a dickhead.
Which leads into, I think, one of the, I suppose, if it works for you, it worked for you, where Nora was flirting with the other Nathan 2.0, and then Nathan, the real downloaded version, gets a visit from Ingrid, who's just looking for a friend and having a pity party and also very drunk, and talks about the sacrifices she makes and will continue to make to be by his side because he's the only thing, as Nora said, she's ever cared about and that's ever cared about her. And that's sad. And I need her to have a story arc in which she cares about herself. Because it feels as if even this Nathan Brown, unless he goes back to the point where he never met Nora, he's always going to choose Nora. Even in the end when he's like, my future's with Ingrid. I think. Maybe. It's kind of fucked up. Even if Ingrid is Ingrid. Like, even Nora's like, well, if you can clone yourself and she can have one, I think you should just let her have it. Because she's definitely earned it. And then the other Nathans are having insecurity comparing themselves to the other. I'm the more narcissistic, materialistic version of myself who's got the abs still. And this Nathan, oh, I put on 5 pounds. and thinks that, like, oh, Nora's so smart, but you used to be smart. I feel like the show forgot that. The show forgot that Luke is a former Army corporal. Why is that never utilized? Like, this guy is supposed to be someone that's a war hero, and the reason why, I mean, maybe he's not a war hero. He just, I don't know, but I got the feeling before that he actually did shit because his legs were blown off, right? It's like these little things from the first season truly have gotten lost from the second season. Now they're non-existent in the third, and that's a shame. I would like to bring that back as much as I would like to bring back the gray zone. And it does feel as if they're getting there. As I stated formally, this is just the, what do they call these episodes? The filler. Yeah. The season has been a huge filler thus far. They end up getting David Choke's hard drive, which is awesome. I didn't think Ivan was going to give it up. I thought that he was just going to be too afraid of the blackmail. And then we saw him last episode and nothing was mentioned. That's what I mean. The inconsistencies just throw everything off because it's not a rational form of how these people would be interacting. But they're able to upload Choke. They're going to fuck with his memories, and they're also going to look through his memories, which they both do, in the memory parlor in Lakeview with the one version of, because she's in San Francisco, and the other, he's in San Francisco, and Nora's back with, the Holden, that's her name. We had one moment of saying, I do. Just go with it. She's totally cool with everything. Just also a little unrealistic. The Nathans try to egg it, especially the other Nathan. He's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to try to steal you. I'm totally going to try to make you fall back in love with me. But she ends up, even though he's like, I'm the same person, she's like, no, but I had those experiences with someone else. So there's that idea that a copy of a copy of a copy is not the same as the person in which you build those memories and those imperfections with. So even seeing him out in the real world and seeing that he is a less sculpted version of himself, even less smart version of himself, because even his downloaded version was like, did I miss half of my brain? What the fuck did I mean taking you to my ex-girlfriend's house and having her stay there? And so he settles for Ingrid, which is sad for Ingrid because he never chooses you, and you know that, but I think she's starting to work that out. Which leads to Ingrid showing up, throwing sand for absolutely no reason. It was nice that they had a conversation where she admits, look, I know I'm pathetic and this is obsessive at this point. But, we had something that truly was the only real thing I ever had in my life. And then she finds out that her father wished that she had died in the accident as she was supposed to with Nathan. Why don't you love me, Daddy? Other than that, the other big reveal was that the whole entire plan was for them to offshore employees to save on labor by having them work, which is connected to the storyline with Luke, which I appreciate it because finally something that has a little bit more of substance to it other than the love story element, like bodies ain't been dropped. And people are not missing still, are now having no way but to be downloaded into Lakeview so that they can be used as just slave labor. and then the companies will save themselves billions. So that's the overall plan. They're going to get the information to Holden. My guess is Holden's going to take them to court. But is this the end of Choke? I hope it is. He doesn't feel as if he's an enemy, and I would rather have Mansoor be an enemy. Choke's like, I knew I saw your ass. He's like, yeah, I'm about to fuck with your memories. So if we do see him, I think he's off of the board as far as, even though they do have backup memories, right? So all he has to do is call the right people. These are people in power. I wonder if Holden's going to continue to be a thing. But that's essentially my review. There's not a lot to add to it. I didn't chuckle as much as I wanted to chuckle. The one moment with the AI guy where he's at the bar, which I did love, because she's like, give it to me straight. He's like, okay, you create your own drama. You need to go tell him how you feel, accept the answer if it's no, and move the fuck on.
Fucking embarrassing!
That was probably the best scene, because someone had to say it. So once again, if you want to... one last thing I need to clarify is I said this at the top of the season that this was renewed for season 4, but actually it's not. In October 2023, Daniels mentioned in an interview with Collider that he was hopeful for a 4th season and that the writing process will begin during November, but there's nothing right now that says that the show was renewed. Although the 3rd season has received an approval rating of 88% with an average of 7.3 out of 10 based on 18 critics on Rotten Tomatoes, with a general consensus of, quote, equal parts more convoluted and sophisticated than ever before, Upload's techno-satire continues to take on more human dimension. So it seems as if it has generally favorable reviews, which is good for our next season. And maybe if I just binge this all in one day, I'd probably have less of a hiccup and more time to be like, oh, this is all you're going to give. And again, this is a good show for fun entertainment. It's not like I'm criticizing this show on any level other than the one in which its genre is supposed to be. It's quirky, it's cute, it's not to be taken too seriously, doesn't have the biggest budget in the world, but you like the characters. And I still do. I still like the characters. I just think that we are losing some of the plot threads with the romantic overtones, but this episode at least did get that back on track. But unfortunately, it suffered in the genre that it's supposed to be, which is a comedy, and there just wasn't much to chuckle about. So with that said, I gave it a 7.3 out of 10. Once again, if you want to send feedback, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below. My social media will be there as well. Like, share, subscribe, and until next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic.
Hustling, 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 hustling.